What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Taurean Rain Reloaded channel. If you are new, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell and have your notifications set to all so you can be notified every time I upload a new video and go live. So what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about this man by the name of Jeffrey Cooper. I'm gonna be honest, up until yesterday, and I'm recording this on May 21st, 2022, I had no idea who this man was until I just happened to go onto my trending page on Twitter and saw the various headlines about this guy. But before I get into why we're talking about him, this guy was an Academy member, not that type of Academy member like I talk about, but a National Academy member, you know, with the Oscars, where he was an architect. And I believe he's actually won an award, maybe a couple, on, I think, sound or something to that effect. One of those lower tier Academy Awards. But I just wanted to give you a little brief overview about him. It'll probably go into more detail when I read the article. But the reason why I'm here to talk about him today is because this guy was found guilty on 3 counts of violations of a child. 3. Which means that there were 3 children, or maybe 3 different times of the same child. Or maybe 2 on the same and 1 on a different child. I don't know how it really is until I really get into the article. But before I go any further, I have to give a shout out to Seiji Hito, because a couple of days ago he did a video about this same topic. And he's like the only person I can think of at the moment in the sector who's spoken about this so far. It might be some more by the time this video goes up, but he was one of the first people I saw talk about this. And I wrote in his comment section saying, I just heard about this same story too, and I can't wait to hear what he had to say about it, and I'm going to definitely lend my voice about this situation as well. But without further ado, let me just go ahead and get into it. A jury on Friday found Hollywood architect and Film Academy member Jeffrey Cooper guilty of 3 counts of violations of a child. The 2-week criminal trial began May 9th at the Los Angeles Superior Court in Van Nuys, 4 years after Cooper was arrested and a grand jury indicted him on 8 counts involving 2 children. So it was 2 children. And notice how it went down to 3 counts from the original 8. Cooper, a resident of Calabasas, pleaded not guilty. The jury convicted him on 3 felony charges of a lewd act on a child involving one of his accusers. Jurors, however, were unable to render a verdict on 5 counts against Cooper involving the other accuser. Judge Alan Schneider declared a mistrial on those charges. Sentencing was set for June 1st. Cooper could face up to 12 years in prison. Up to, which means it's not necessarily he's going to get all 12. It just means that it's going to be between 1 and 12 years. The judge, calling Cooper a flight risk, ordered him held in jail without bail. Cooper had been free on a $5 million bond, reduced from nearly $9 million shortly after his arrest. Now, they know that this man got a lot of money. He shouldn't even had a bail, or a bond, I should say. Hell, $9 million, he probably could have paid that too. In June 2018, LA County Special Victims Bureau detectives arrested Cooper, then 66, on suspicion of multiple counts of violations of a child, according to court records. The acts were alleged to have occurred on one victim between November 2006 and November 2007, and the second between January 2012 and July 2016. According to the felony complaint for the arrest warrant, the 2 accusers are now 16 and 28 years old. Cooper's lawyer, Alan Jackson, could not immediately be reached for comment. In his opening statement, Jackson called the allegations false, part of a money play, and called his client a target because of his wealth status and resources. On the first day of the trial, one of his accusers testified that she considered Cooper a friend and a mentor, someone she wrote songs with. He taught her to play guitar in his home music studio in his basement. She claimed that when she was 12 or 13, Cooper molested her on a couch in the music studio. The jury convicted Cooper on all 3 counts associated with that victim. Obviously, the families are disappointed, and the jury didn't convict as to one victim, but they are very pleased to see the jury at least convicted as to the second victim, said David Ring, an attorney for the 2 accusers and their families. It was incredibly satisfying for them to see Cooper immediately remanded to prison for what he did. They've been put through nothing short of hell during the last 4 years of criminal proceedings. Over the years, Cooper, who testified in his own defense this week, earned a reputation in Hollywood as a top designer of movie theaters and sound studios, including an Academy of Television Arts and Sciences theater, as well as more than 24 mixing studios that produce Academy Award nominees, according to the website of his eponymous Calabasas-based firm. Cooper designed home studios for a galaxy of top directors, including Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, Martin Scorsese, and Steven Spielberg. Beyond Hollywood, Cooper was the architect behind the Aish HaTorah World Center in Jerusalem, and he proposed the design for a slavery and cultural museum in Benin, according to a Medium.com essay he penned in 2020. Cooper became a member of the Film Academy in 2002. The Academy has been made aware of the alleged abhorrent behavior and will address the matter according to our standards of conduct and the due process requirement under California nonprofit corporation law. We would have grounds under our rules to expel any member convicted of a violent crime. Now, here's the thing. This guy was apprehended back in 2018 for what he did. And here we are in 2022 when he's finally been found guilty of his crimes. So you mean to tell me he was still on the board back then? Huh. Interesting. Kind of gives me Roman Polanski vibes, but I'm going to continue. The Academy has struggled to deal with members who have been accused of misconduct. In 2017, following numerous allegations of sexual misconduct leveled against Harvey Weinstein in the New York Times and the New Yorker, the Academy's Board of Governors moved quickly to expel the producer. It also enacted new standards of conduct, giving the body's leadership flexibility to take action if any member violated the new set of criteria. And it's interesting they brought up Harvey Weinstein in 2017 because this guy was apprehended a year later, and this is my absolute first time hearing about this, because I heard about this back then. I definitely would have spoke about it, and I would have remembered his face and his name. But they kept this real quiet. And that's the end of the article. Very interesting indeed. Now, I have to piggyback off of what Seiji Hito was saying. We all know what happened with Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars back in March, and I always call it the incident. I don't like to call it the other thing, but I just call it the incident. Where are all the people who claim they were so traumatized about what happened with that? Where are their antennas on this? If anything, what this guy did was way more traumatizing to the people he did this to their families and loved ones. And moreover, if you are a person who was a victim of this kind of attack, you should be traumatized definitely over that, because that opens up old wounds for you. But I don't see anybody saying they're so traumatized by this. And the main one I'm really referring this to is Wanda Sykes, because I didn't get a chance to do a video about her in the comments that she made, but this chick's still up there talking about how so traumatized she is. She's like the only person still talking about being traumatized by this. Everybody else, for the most part, ain't talking about it no more, but she out there trying to help keep that story alive. It's done. But speaking of other people that aren't talking about this, PC people aren't really talking about this either. Like, this isn't floating around in the news like that. I found this on the internet. Now, maybe it may be on local news out there in Los Angeles, but they're not floating it around everywhere like they did with the incident. Like, that thing was everywhere in the news. This right here, I could turn my TV on right now and not see them mention it one time on any type of national or international lamestream media market or outlet. And I would not even be in the least bit surprised. They'll pretend like this didn't even happen or wasn't even going on. Of course, he was only found guilty of only 3 counts out of the 8 that he was hit with. They had to find some kind of leniency for him, but they was like, it's going to look real shaky if we let him go on every last one of them. It almost feels like it was a pity thing, which if that was the case, that would be extremely messed up. But yeah, it's just amazing to me, you know, how quiet they're really about this. And when the Academy said that they move quickly, they don't. Depending on who it is, of course. This guy, they knew this guy's been doing this for years. And, you know, he got caught in 2018, but he was apparently still on the board, because I didn't see anything up in here about them saying he was removed from the board, even after his recent conviction right here. I still didn't read anything in here saying that he was removed from the board. It just says that when stuff like this happens, they remove him, but they didn't say that they did. So as far as I'm concerned, his name is still attached to it. Now, of course, they're probably going to move it now. But the point of the matter is in 2018, when this came to the surface, that's when they should have made a move to get him out of there then. But they didn't. But Will Smith gets the 10-year, a 10-year ban from attending the Oscars. Amazing what they prioritize, right? But then again, look at him and look at Will Smith. I think we can pretty much see what the obvious common denominator here is. And that's my take on it.